us today. All right, so today we're talking about purposeful gifts. One thing I've really found a lot of families and caregivers and loved ones struggle with is, do we keep buying sweaters and pajamas and slippers? What can we get them? So I came up with a list of some things that can be helpful for the different stages of dementia. Do you have that hard to shop for person, which we all do, but it becomes even harder when you can't find that perfect gift for someone who has dementia or Alzheimer's. So we're going to go over some gifts, whether it's Alzheimer's or another form of dementia that can be helpful from beginning stage to late stage. So I want to first start with a couple questions for you guys to think about. What are you worried about for the holidays? Are there the stress of being around people? Should you spend certain times with them? Should you change the traditions? You know, think of some things you might look forward to. I've had a family in the past who changed up a tradition, and they now get a new ornament every year, and they go to the community and their loved one and them hang an ornament on a tree every year, and that's their new moment. They take a picture. Name one way that you'll take care of yourself. This is the most important thing. You're a caregiver and you love who you're taking care of, but you also have to take care of yourself. And so that's my homework for all of you, is to go out and find something for yourself to do this holiday season just to relax, whether it's having a cup of tea or taking yourself out to lunch. And I've done this before. I actually was taught this in college, to take yourself to lunch with a book and let the waiter or waitress know that you're there just to enjoy the time. And they bring out your food and they don't come back to you. You just sit there and read your book. And I never realized how much I would enjoy something like that until I did it. So, you know, find those things that you might think are a little different. So the 10 holiday tips I have for you: recognize signs and symptoms of stress and burnout. That's so important. Be in tune to yourself or your loved one. Anticipate your holiday hot button moments. What are those things that trigger you? Is there too many people in the room? The expectations for decorations or having a special event. Acknowledge your feelings that are good and bad. They're all important. Find a healthy stress relief outlet. Is it sitting and doing a puzzle? Is it reading a book? Is it just putting a candle on and sitting back? Put self-care back into your list. You have to take care of yourself, whether that's a pedicure or going shopping or just taking a hike and walking. Find a healthy stress relief outlet. Get support. There's nothing wrong with asking for support, whether it's a friend or family member who just sit and listen, or if it's going to someone for professional help, because this is not an easy journey. This is a marathon, as we say, not a sprint, and we have to find all the tools to help us get to the end. Do mindful planning. So there's nothing wrong with planning ahead, being prepared that there could be changes during those moments. Ask for help when you need it. Probably one of the hardest things I've ever done is when my husband was sick. I do everything to ask a friend to come over and do dishes. So when I came home after being at the hospital, they weren't there. But it was the best thing I could have done for myself because it was one less thing to think about. So as hard as that may be for you, thinking of those little things. Keep your holidays simple and start new traditions like that one family that I worked with did with the ornament and hanging it on the tree instead of doing the 6 dozen cookies that you used to do, which is just too much. So one thing I was asked last time I presented was to kind of explain the stages a little better. So I thought I would tie this in with the gifts. So the early stages, memory loss, obviously, difficulty concentrating, especially if you're in a room with a lot of things going on. Finding it hard to carry out your familiar daily tasks because you're getting confused or they're seeming too hard to do. You know, you used to pay the bills and do the laundry, and now you can only get the laundry done because paying the bill gets harder with all the pieces tied with that, mailing it out, writing the check, writing it in your checkbook, all that. Struggling to follow a conversation or finding the right word. So having loss of vocabulary is very common. And so they might start giving words that describe something because they can't get the exact word. As I always say, it's up here, but it doesn't always come out here. Being confused about time and place, and then mood changes. And mood changes happen when you're frustrated, when we're having a bad day. Sometimes we're not always nice to people, right? So that could be common as well. So for early stage, a couple things is we have memory games, and this one's great. I don't have a physical copy, but I have another memory game here. This is from paperculture.com. And one, it's earth friendly, but two, you get to pick all the pictures on the matching pieces. So you could do it with your grandkids, you could do it with the children, pictures they might be familiar with from when they were younger. So it's more personalized, which is always fun. Orientation clocks, and these are great for anyone. A lot of times they push back on getting them and they say, oh, I don't need that. But I actually had someone recently who I got 2 for, and the next time I was there, he goes, I have to get up to look at the calendar and then go over and look at the clock. It's all right there. So they do enjoy it once they have it. Then we have a plumber's puzzle. Having 3D puzzles, also finding things for men can be difficult. So these are great because it's not a typical puzzle where they go, oh, you're making me do a school thing. And it's work related. A lot of men like to do things that are work related. So this is just one example of a 3D type puzzle. Then we have a digital picture frame, and these are wonderful. So you can have this frame, and my mom's up in Connecticut, and I actually send pictures from my phone down here in the DC metro area up to her, and so she has up-to-date pictures of what's going on. You can have multiple families hooked up to it. So that way you get to enjoy these photos of your family, no matter where you are. And then we have the flipper remote. And this is one of my new favorite things. I'm sorry, I've got another window popping up here. There's only 5 buttons to this, because those new cable remotes, they're complicated for even us without having a deficit because there's so many buttons and it's overwhelming. So this literally does the basics: on and off, channel, volume, and then there's a mute button. Keeps it really simple, it's universal, it hooks to any TV. And it's actually large in size, so I'll show you later when I go there. Next, we have a doodle board. People may know Magnadoodle, it's a higher end of a different version of that. Easier functioning than a Etch-a-Sketch from way back in the day. But it does different colors, you can draw on it, and then there's just one button at the bottom that you press and it makes the screen disappear. And you can start over, so it's great to do tic-tac-toe or word games or just draw pictures with someone to have them recognize them. And a bird feeder. A lot of people think of the typical bird feeders that are on shepherd's hooks that you put outside someone's window. Well, when you're in a community where you're on an upper level, that's a little hard to do. Also, the birds aren't always very close. So this way, this one here, and I have it here, it's suction cupped onto the window, and it also holds a lot of bird seed. So it takes a lot longer for it to get empty, which is always helpful because, you know, staff or family, you know, aren't going to be here every day to refill it, like you typically might have time at home to do. Then we have target games. So one I have is baseball, and it's Velcro, and this is great to, you know, throw it and play your own version of baseball, but they have other sports and other activities as well, whether it's dartboard or football. These are fun games, especially for people who are sports oriented. So then we go on to middle stage, where you're having increased confusion and poor judgment, greater memory loss, including the loss of events that may have happened in your past, needing assistance with tasks such as getting dressed, bathing, and grooming, and then significant personality behavior changes, often caused by agitation and unfounded suspicion of what's going on around you. So books are an amazing thing, and there's some great ones that are out there. Whether it's just pictures or you have pictures with one sentence. And then you also have a dusting of snow that's on there from Emma Rose Sparrow. She actually writes books that have chapters in them, but it's a much shorter book so that you can follow the storyline. So you don't feel like you're being given a book for a kid. It takes that feeling away. So there's a bunch of different versions of that that we have. Then puzzles. These are always fun. And there's so many different ones for different levels. You've got some that are foam. so that they're easier to grip. You have puzzles that have 28 pieces, 13 pieces, 36 pieces. So, some have the pieces are larger, some are smaller. We have one that has the 13 piece by Active Minds. They actually have the puzzle design on the tray so that you can see exactly where the pieces go. It helps you for that, so you feel successful in what you're doing. And please do remember, when you're in this mid and late stage, a lot of this stuff is going to be stuff that you can get for them, but it's for you to use with them or someone to use with them. You can't necessarily leave it in front of them, because they may be on that point of self-initiating. Then we have our baby. Doll therapy is a huge thing that can be very helpful to give them that sense of purpose and that motherly feeling or that fatherly feeling, may it be. I purposely picked the Lots of Love babies because they are all plastic and we can bleach them if there's an infection going around or if they get dirty. Where they are some dimension dolls, they do sell that are more weighted, but they're fabric and plastic, so they're a lot harder to clean. And also, as adults get older, holding things that are heavy get harder. So these are very lightweight. So that's why I lean towards these ones.
Then we have our fidget board.
They come in different sizes. There's a small one, which I have here that this gentleman is holding. And there are large ones that actually sit on tables, but this one's great because you can carry it around and store it away. Then we have our interactive robotic cats and dogs. So the cat and the dog, as you pet them, these actually were brought around by Hasbro. As you pet them, they interact more. So the cat will actually roll back and swing her arms. And they have two dogs. This one I like. The other one looks like a yellow lab. It looks very robotic. This one does not, so that's why I put this picture up. There's also a second type of robotic animal. It's called a for real animal, and it just lays in a dog bed, and I'll show it to you. It just breathes. There's no on and off button for it. When the battery dies, the animal stops breathing, and they do that because they want it to be realistic. They don't want them to think they have to turn something on and off. These Joy for All ones, you actually have buttons that can be interactive with sound or interactive muted, so you don't hear the meowing and barking. Then we have these lovely birds, and the set I have is actually the Virginia set, the birds in Virginia. Each bird actually makes their true peeping noise that we would hear. They're authentic, and there's a lot of these out with different areas for different states and stuff, so you can personalize it to where someone used to live if you want. But they're really easy to carry around and interact with them and have the sense of the outdoors. We have the simple Alzheimer's music player. This thing's great. It comes with 40 songs on it. They're from the 20s and 30s because it's uncopyrighted music, so they can put it on there. Obviously, we're getting people who are younger and younger with dementia that might not be their genre. So you can actually plug it into your computer, remove those 40 songs. You cannot download them for yourself. They don't give you that feature, unfortunately. But then you can add as much music as you want on there that will fit, that's specialized towards your loved one. And the great thing is, all you do is lift on the top, it says lift to play, and you literally lift it up and it starts. So I will show you that as well. So then we get to the later stage. Progressive memory, loss of memory, increased loss of physical ability. This may lead to mobility devices. Increased difficulty communicating, so we may get to the point where we're nonverbal, and problems eating and swallowing. So we go on to a lot of sensory stuff at this point when they get to this level. So we have the twiddle, which is basically like an old school winter muff that you put your hands inside, and there's things inside to touch and on the outside. And then we have a jellyfish tank, which I don't have with me. If I'm hoping correctly, this video is going to pop up here so that you guys can. So there they are floating around. And these are great. They have some artificial fish tanks, but the fish look like really hard plastic. They don't look realistic. These jellyfish do look real. They can change colors. There's a remote that has a bunch of different colors on it. So they're fun to interact with. Then we have a wheelchair blanket, and these are great. So it actually sits on the lap, and it actually attaches to the wheelchair, and I'll pull one up to show it to you. This one actually has pockets as well. So as your abilities decrease, you love to touch things. And this blanket feels wonderful, first of all, but it doesn't fall off. So it's not getting caught in the wheels, the staff isn't losing it, it's attached to your chair. So it keeps you warm and it's something to stimulate you. Chewing necklaces. So we know these are very common with young children when they're teething, but these are also great for older adults who want to put things in their mouth. And not everyone gets to that stage with their dementia, but there are people that do. And so at least these look like jewelry they might wear. And they do have ones for men that can be an arrowhead, just a solid stone that looks more manly. And you can find them online. So that allows them to take care of that fixation that they have while still having dignity. Then we have a smaller version of that muff that we had. This one actually straps onto the wrist. And this is good for people who might keep dropping the other one. And this just hooks onto their wrist like a bracelet, and it's got all the same things to fidget with as well. Then we have some more books. These are all picture-based. So there isn't, you know, all the chapters necessarily, so that they can just follow along with it. And we'll go through those when I go down to the table. A two-textured blanket. These are great to meet the sensory need, but it's still something that can keep them warm, whether it's on their bed or in a chair they're sitting in. And it has two different textures so that they can enjoy that. Then we have an activity apron. It's kind of like the activity board we had with all the buttons and latches and stuff, but this has more like sewing in zippers, and there's some buttons on it. And behind the red piece with the buttons, there's actually a slot that you can put a family photo in there or put a message so they open it or something for them to see. And this ties on to a wheelchair or a chair as well. So those are the slide, and I'm going to move around to the front and kind of show you the different items so you can kind of see them a little closer. If you have questions, feel free to put it in the chat, and the team that's here with me will let me know what you're asking. I'm gonna try and do these ones that are plugged in first. Can they see me? Mm-hmm. All right, some of these things I'm gonna do from behind because they're plugged in. So, yes, that's the cat purring at me. So this is the Alzheimer's radio, and literally you just flip this up. It's that simple. So no one has to figure out how to turn things on and off. And you can tweak it to whatever music you want. Then we have the orientation clock, and you can get these bigger as well. This is a fairly small one. And set it, there's a couple different settings for it. You can hang them on the wall, which is great. And then obviously a digital photo frame. These are my pups that you're seeing. But you can send all these pictures through your phone to them, and multiple family members can do it. So it's a great way to share. You can also send, when you send it, you can actually put a note at the bottom that comes up on the bottom that says where the picture was taken and what it is and who's in it. So you can also do that. All right. I think I can move to the front now. So I'm going to start from one end of the table and go to the other. I think it's going to be the easiest. So this is the busy apron. You can see I could wrap it around my waist if I wanted, tie it to a chair. And these have been around for a really long time. But this is the part where you can put a picture or a message in here. And a couple different things to do. So that allows them to give them something to keep their hands busy and have something interactive. This is the wonderful flipper remote. So it's fairly big, very simple. You got your 5 buttons, and these are great. And just for you guys to know, I'm showing you all this, and I'm not expecting you to memorize it. I do have a list together that they're going to send out to all of you with the links, so you can just click right on them to find them. So this is the necklace. So that we have one example here. Very easy to wear. It doesn't look like it's a teething ring, which is nice. We have our lovely birds here. So we have a cardinal. They all make their different noises. So you can get different sets. They have all the different states. This is our sleeping dog. I didn't have a picture of on the PowerPoint. You can just see the belly moving here. And from the underneath, you can see they can't tell that there's a battery system in here. You actually have to unscrew it to turn it off. So that's why they don't have a button. And then our kitty cat friend here, who's saying hello to you. She'll move as you pet with her. She does roll back. If you go underneath here, there is an on and off switch. There's one that's mute and one that's with the sounds. So staff can turn it off and on if they need to. That's our kitty. The other plus as well, if someone doesn't need something interacting, just regular stuffed animals, and they have so many that look realistic, like this cat, they have dogs. Or you can go with an otter. Sea animals are always good too. But just for the sensory piece to touch it. And then we have all of our different books. So I'm going to start with these chapter ones that I was telling you about. So you see, they're not very thick. And it's large print. There's a couple of photos in here. But there's chapters. Keeps it short and simple, so they still feel like they're reading a novel. And then you can transition to something like this. This set, there's actually 12 books to this set. Combine them all together. It's got pictures and then just a small paragraph. So it transitions to that next level. So you can travel different places or a different theme. And then you can go to these ones where it's literally just a label of where you're at, Yosemite Park. So it transitions to that next level down. And then you go to these where it's literally just pictures. So we've gone the 4 different stages of being able to read with a book. And the woman that does the chapter books also does picture versions as well. She actually has one that is all babies, which older adults seem to love looking at baby pictures. So it's that's usually a popular one. And then of course, our doll therapy. This is our baby. And if you have her wrapped up just nice and you walk around with her, people think she's real. This is the board. So I wrote good afternoon with a flower. If I just hit this button, it disappears. And you can start over and write again. And I have one for my work with some of my patients. We're doing an activity and I go, watch this. And I hit the button and they go, you made it go away. So be careful when you do that. This is the bird feeder. So you just put the bird seed, you take it off the suction cups here, just like this, the lid, and pour it in both sides, and it comes out right here, and this is where the bird eats. So it holds quite I think it's almost a pound of food, which is quite a bit. This is our 3D puzzle. So it comes in it holds together better, I promise. It comes in like a toolbox. There's a gazillion pieces in here. And so they can sit and put it together and make whatever shapes they want. If they were a plumber, they're probably really going to love it. So it'll trip and fall. And then we have the fidget board. So it's different chains, locks, zippers. So you can play with all the different pieces to keep their hands busy. We have the target games. You just have them throw it, and if I throw it right, it would land on there. They do different things with that. So this is our twiddle, and inside, one of the things in there, I'll pull it out, is in there to keep their hands busy, keeps them warm too. They can play with the stuff on the outside as well. If you listen carefully, there's a plastic in there. And then if they keep dropping it, and you still need something to keep them busy, this one goes on just like a bracelet. It has snaps. They can play with all the pieces on it. I found this matching games. They have a hard time finding things for men sometimes. This is actually all the NFL teams. So I don't have the custom made matching game, but all matching games are good. This one still has the Redskins in it. There's few and far between defined. Here's a two textured blanket. So really silky soft here, and this is more of a rough soft that kind of has a grip on it. So it's two different feelings for them. And then we have our puzzles. So this is the one I was talking about that has the background. So it tells you exactly where every piece goes with this dog puzzle. So it helps guide them without being called out that they don't know how to put the puzzle together. And there's little sayings here. This company has many different sizes in these, from 13 pieces, 16, there might even be a 32-piece one, I believe. Then you have other puzzles where the pictures come folded like this for a picture. And then the pieces can be different sizes. I have one with pieces probably about the palm of my hand, and then I have ones that are bigger than my hand. So you just kind of play out their vision is. And usually if the pieces get bigger, there's less pieces. So kind of where their cognition is as well. Any questions popping up? No? So I think, oh, my wheelchair blanket. So we have a wheelchair here to show this. So it straps on, so you can see it's not coming off there. So there's Velcro here, and it straps on in two different places. Up at the top and down here at the bottom, so that it stays on them. And then you can see the hidden pockets here.
So Melissa, we do have a question. One of our registrants is asking, where do you purchase these? Are they difficult to find, or is it relatively easy?
Almost everything's off at Amazon. And I do that intentionally so that anyone can find them. And so when you get the handout, the links will be right on there. And I made it as links, so you can literally just click on them to make it as simple as possible.
An approximate price range for these items?
So probably the most expensive things are the animatronic cat and the music player in the back, and they're between $125 and $150, and then everything else is probably under $40. There isn't, most of the stuff I'm always about spending less because you're spending enough on care. You know, I had some links for blankets, but this two textured blanket I literally got at Five Below for $5. So you can go really inexpensive and still meet their need as well.
We have another question
Yes.
here. So it is American nature to overindulge. And so do you have a recommendation on the quantity of gifts? I mean, if every member of the family offers a gift, is that overwhelming?
It can be, depending on where they're at. You know, doing a gift instead of one from, you know, the son, daughter, and each grandkid, do one gift from everybody for that family. And then if you have 3 kids, that's 3 gifts. And keep it that way. Because yeah, opening too many gifts can be overstimulating. And then also, you get into that part where if they're still in the beginning stages and they know they live somewhere, I don't have room for it, and they want to give it away. I find that a lot too. So keeping it minimal is really important. So yeah, I would try and limit it a little bit. I wouldn't, you're right, we do overindulge. And so whatever we could do to keep it simple. And that allows you to spread it out as well, so that you can give it for a birthday gift, Mother's Day, you know, those type of things as well.
So as my children were growing up, I would regift because of the overabundance. Is this something that you would recommend?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think it's a problem at all. Beginning stages, they might notice it, but once you get to middle and late stage, I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. I think that's a great idea. Reuse, always good. Well, if there's no more questions, I really appreciate all of you chiming in for this. And my contact information was on the screen, and Kayla will also share it with you guys. If you have further questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out. And we'll also get you that handout with all the links. So thank you very, very much.
Hello. Yes, I do just want to take a moment to thank Melissa for being here with us this afternoon and for sharing all the wonderful and insightful information as you always do. I will share our holding slide again, just so if anybody wants to take down Melissa's information, you can. And I will put the list of links in the chat, but you will also get an email as well. So thank you, everyone, and we hope you have a great afternoon.